Welcome, everybody, to the Between Two Wheels podcast, a special Monday edition. Yes, you just heard from me on Friday. It's Monday. There was just a few days in between. Two of them, matter of fact. We're going to come to you and give you a little bit of an update. Did you know there's an American to Slovenia pipeline connection? We're going to talk about that. The sixth stage of the tour of the Basque Country. That's kind of what prompted me to do this. I want to get the analysis out there right away since it's fresh in my mind. I lose track if we go too far down the week. Tour of Turkey, Cavendish's wins. Are we going to be excited about that? I don't know, maybe some ride of the week. The Ardennes Classics are coming up, and some crazy news headlines featuring our one and only Lance Armstrong. I thought we would go over that. This is Monday, April 12, 2021, Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 232. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Did I get out for a ride? I got out for a little ride on Sunday. Saturday did not happen, nor Friday. My daughter had senior night she's a cheerleader, captain. They were able to have that. It was kind of exciting for her and for everyone. Long years of doing that and watching her. At least they were able to get back to school for that. Saturday, we went to San Jose to my in-laws, had a good time over there, came home, and I did a ride yesterday. And I know some people went and did some racing down in Southern California this weekend, and good for them. And maybe we'll talk about that coming up. Look, should be plenty of time between races. Also, remember, there's some issues with Sky Martinez doing races on the NCNCA, people complaining. I chimed in a little bit. I'm confused because, there's concern that it's not sanctioned by the USAC. And so then some people are like, hey, what about upgrade points? And he said he's going to try to see if he can get some of those corresponding, according to my peripheral reading of this, Sky Martinez, I think that's his dog. But Matt Martinez, that is doing the races, indicated things came together too quickly. USAC, who's not prone to being very responsive. See a few episodes back for my own personal things. He said he just rushed out and got licensing through, I want to say the wrong acronym. So some other acronym, and racing's whatever he's able to do, and because he wasn't able to do it in time, so there you have racing. People are complaining, hey, I don't have upgrade points. One person in particular chimed in like, so race anyway. I mean, it's a good idea. And he's like, but if I race, I don't get upgrade points. And so I look back on him. He's Cat 3. I think he's been racing maybe 2 years, 6 races, 9 races a year. Dude, no offense, but this is some friendly advice. Someone who's been doing this since I'm really young. Get out and race. The more you race, the more you learn to win, the more it's going to help you to win. And getting in it, so it's not for upgrade points. You know what, though? It'll serve you better. So get out there and try it. That's kind of what, some of these learning crits and everything are all about. You go out there and dominate. I will, like I said, you'll be a rider of the week on the Between Two Wheels podcast. Maybe in a shirt. This shirt? No, this one's mine. You don't want a dirty old worn out shirt. All right, let's get right away to some Lance Armstrong news. Oh boy, I don't even know where to begin on this one. And part of my problem with this first one is it's not Lance, it's about his son. I feel bad for everyone involved, but it's the headline. The headline is what caught me here. Lance Armstrong's son, Luke, arrested on sexual assault charges. Okay, that's not good. Here we go, though. 21-year-old is accused of assaulting a 16-year-old girl in his father's home in 2018. Now, I sent this over to Kurt and Chris, and I'm like, what the heck? It's so stupid the way that they try to dramatize these headlines and make it different. And Kurt's like, hey, I was able to do the math. Why are you required to do math in a headline? I mean, they could have easily just said 19-year-old is accusing 18-year-old of abusing her at his father's house in 2018. You don't have to do that. He's 21 now. She's 19 now. And the reason this makes a difference is because you go, 21-year-old and 16-year-old. Well, no, at the time he was 18. She was 16. I'm not doing anything other than the headlines here, folks. Okay. But there's statutes in Texas. Romeo and Juliet statutes or what have you about being together as a couple, and therefore the statutory rape issue is kind of anyway. Sounds like his son might be a typical creep that you have, and so not a problem there. Just only a problem with the headline because there's no need to make it more insidious than it already is, right? So anyway, you're going to be a problem. Look, I do a lot of domestic violence restraining orders. You have these kind of issues. You don't need to, make it in the news. And I think that's what it is. So it's good or bad for all these people. I don't know. Kind of sucks either way. Either way, his son appears to have been arrested now. We'll figure out what's going on there. But here's what's even more insidious. Lance Armstrong, go to this one. Former French anti-doping boss accuses Lance Armstrong of motor doping. Verde says he doesn't think Armstrong's performances were possible on just EPO alone. Now, I think this headline is actually dropped or leaked from the Armstrong camp to take away from any possible thing with his son. They want to get this out there. I mean, come on. I don't think motors were really even a thing back in the day. And I mean, he doped. It was bad enough he was doping on that. But let's just Lance Armstrong. This is the best scam with complicity at all levels. He got special treatment. Many told me that I should not tackle legends, that I was going to find myself alone. But if the legends are mounted on anything, I also believe that he had a motor in the bike. Jean-Pierre Verdi told French television programming Stade 2 during an interview. Motor doping or mechanical doping is a method of cheating by using a hidden motor inside a bike to add power. This technological fraud is banned by the UCI. I still have the images in my head of a mountain stage where everyone is collecting themselves and he leaves everyone on the ground. At the end of the stage, I call all the specialists I know, and they don't understand how this performance is possible, even with EPO. There was something wrong, and all specialists were telling me the same. It was not the EPO that made the difference. I actually think Lance was incredibly talented. He did a lot of hard work, and then he did EPO, and he did other drugs. I don't think that he really had a bike in his thing, a motor in his bike. I don't know. When he climbed up how to calm, I think that's what it was, one of those, and he crashed, and with the Basque rider hits the bike, the bag there, goes crashing down to the ground. His bike was kind of torn up. You'd probably have seen some mechanical bike issues during that time. Was it 03? That might have been a little bit more. So I don't know. Seems to me a bit far-fetched, people. And if you want to go after Lance Armstrong, there's plenty to go after him for. That perhaps is not one of them. Okay, stage 6, tour of the Basque Country, Pais Basco. We had a bunch of, look, after Friday's podcast here, where everything kind of went wrong or went good for Brandon McNulty. The questions then are, how does it look for the weekend? And I was like, and I was going back and forth with Chris and Kurt, and I'm like, I actually think he's got a good chance. I mean, it's only 70 miles. It'd probably be a little more fresh in the legs. And I had thought in my mind Formigal, but I had not really, because these short stages can actually be more explosive, and you see attacks from longer range out. And that's what Roglic had to do. And that's not only what he had to do, that's what he ended up doing. Let's take a look, though, at the profile for the stage. It was 110 kilometers, 109, 112, somewhere in that range. Had a Cat 1, started off with a Cat 3 right away, like out of the box, 4.5 kilometers in. Another Cat 3 at 12. Hit a Cat 1 at 23K. Hit a Cat 2 at 43. I mean, this is when you're summiting them, so you're climbing them even further than that. Summited at 43.5. Summit the next Cat 1 at 68. You've got a Cat 3 at 90.5. Some bumps in there at 95, 97. Another little kicker at 103. And then the last Cat 1 at 109. And that was a pretty nasty little up and down, up and down, up and down. So I figured Brandon McNulty would actually have a chance at it. But you're going in here and tuning on the TV. I think they're coming down the Cat 2 here. And in that process, it's a pretty steep descent. You see Astana hitting the front, crashing the boards, going down hard, going down the road hard, not down to the ground. And Roglic right up there being attentive, just follows along. Next thing you know, there's a little bit of a gap. There's a little bit more of a gap. Hershey had been up in the break. He comes back through there. Adam Yates misses this little move that's on a descent. We're seeing a lot of this stuff kind of just crashing and hitting as it is. But before we get there, I thought we'd just talk a little bit about what we ended up seeing with Formigal a few years ago. I don't even remember this. This is a stage, 114 kilometers, Cat 3, a Cat 2, and then piping out, I don't know if it was Cat 1 finish here. This is the Vuelta 2016, stage 15. This was the ambush, or they call ambush at Formigal. And it's what took Chris Froome out of that race and Nairo Quintana for the overall win. It was on from right to the start. You can see there's a Cat 3 coming here at 37, and they hit the road running first few K. They're attacking. Sky gets caught out of it, and they're on the back foot. They're chasing. There's 2-minute gaps, and they were never able to close this thing down. That thing was spread out all over the road all day. And perhaps we would take a little look at some of the, I thought we'd just play a little summary for you guys. If in case you forgot about that, I think it's a little, it's good to be able to do. And let's see if we, I don't know if I necessarily want the sound on here because that only helps with getting a strike, but let's see what we do.
After an incursion into French territory, the pack is back in Spain for stage 15. Another high-altitude finish at the Pyrenean ski resort Aramon Formigal that will follow 2 ascents on the way. The stage is only 118 kilometers long and many attacks can be expected. This is quickly confirmed. Only 5 kilometers after the start in Sabiñánigo, it's no less than Alberto Contador, 6th in the overall ranking, who attacks on a slight descent.
Got some EF guys, Nairo Quintana, the Tinkoff group,
don't follow.
David Formolo, Sky on the back foot.
Spanish-speaking leaders have good reasons to collaborate.
Wrong with
the Colombian
Bike Exchange.
Lead, Contador could climb up the general ranking. Both have 2 teammates by their side. 14 men are in the escape group, amongst them the mountain jersey Kenny Elizondo, and the break has chances to succeed.
King Kenny, sorry.
Escapees hold an average speed of 45 kilometers an hour, and mid-race they have a lead of 3 minutes to the pack around Froome.
3 minutes up on Froome with 43K to go.
Omar Friday passes the first 2 stage difficulties, amongst them the Conte Fablo, a second category climb in the lead.
And he plays a part on a Roglic stage.
Between him and the leader of the mountain classification,
Basque
Kenny
Country.
Elizondo. Alberto Contador has different goals. He collects 2 more bonification seconds at the intermediate sprint at Biescas. At the base of the Formigal, the gap between the 2 groups is at 2 minutes. That's when the race leaders decide to take over. Quintana sets the pace on the ascent, trying to confirm his lead. One after the other, the escapees are reeled in. Even Contador is taken on the final, steepest meters. Only Gianluca Brambilla manages to resist. The Italian from Ethics Quickstep even manages to jump by an exhausted Nairo Quintana on the finish line to take his second major stage win after a success on the Giro d'Italia this spring.
All right, pretty impressive. I don't know if you really cared about that, but I thought it was interesting and kind of play it into this. And the reason being is because Formigal, as you saw there, the teams hit it hard. They had bigger leads up front, and they were able to attack, save actually Quintana and Contador, at least for the finish. The results there, Brambilla and Quintana, and you end up seeing Talansky there. He was in that front group, or he comes down 2 minutes out behind. Froome loses 240 and kind of just loses his chance at the race altogether. However, let's get back into the Tour of Basque Country. So, similar time, they attacked a little bit later, but it was on a descent, and you had Omar Fraley, you had the Astana guys pushing hard and really pushing down the descent. And the guys know this area. Any of those Spanish guys that are from the Basque Country, they know this area. And I don't know that you necessarily saw Brandon McNulty having trouble descending. It's just there's some gaps, and they're not staying up with Roglic. And that by the way, that's also Tadej Pogačar, who's ended up staying with him. Now there's just fractional seconds off. There's that valley in between, which we could show here. And I think this might have been part of the problem that you ended up having, because in this valley in between the Cat 2 at 43 and 66K in, which is, between 60 and 40K to go, there was a decent length of a valley there, a few little humps in there. And then we had this kicker with some 13% plus, percent gradients on it. And during that time there is where in the descent and on that flat that Astana just kept pushing it. Movistar kept pushing it. Once again, they love to work for Roglic. I don't know, I guess they're wanting their chance to move up, but they also had the next best placed person, Roglic, with them. So working, they weren't going to do anything but displace Brandon McNulty, displace Tadej Pogačar. They weren't going to leap much up. I guess they thought maybe that would possibly be the case. However, in this section, they're just right off the back, and Hershey Tadej Pogacar and Brandon McNulty, who Brandon looked like he wasn't working as much, still with the precept of, I'm going to be the winner of this thing. We're going to get back, and I need to be saving a little bit myself. So you had Pogacar doing a ton of work in this. Meanwhile, Roglic up front doing nothing. Then you had Jonas in that group with up front, actually, with Roglic. So you still had that and was Adam Yates, I think, was with the UAE boys right there with Tadej. So then you come into that climb. And once again, they're like 20 seconds or so, and this climb gets pretty steep. And right away, you're seeing McNulty having some issues. He starts to come off. They're kind of slowing down. They're holding out for him. Tadej Pogacar, once again, is on the front doing a lot of work. And pretty soon, he's on his mic, and it looks like he gets the word, leave McNulty. Now, going over the top of the climb, I don't know if that was, at that point, the most necessary thing to do. What probably should have happened, because they only had a few, maybe 15, 20 seconds at the most over McNulty going over the top. Perhaps it would have been better to say, hey, let's wait for him. Let's go over, not work for him now. Brandon, you're not in position to do this. Tadej is the person. You need to sacrifice everything you can for him. You're a big motor, and then you have this valley between the Cat 1 and the Cat 3, which is between 68 and 90. So you've got a decent valley that once again through there, and it's all just kind of a downhill and then a sweeping up. Maybe you would then work for Pogacar to bring this thing all back together. However, it didn't. Pogacar leaves Brandon. Brandon's then riding with Guillaume Martin. They're having all kinds of trouble. That group up there, they have Jonas in with Tadej Pogacar. Up ahead, you've got Roglic with David Gaudu. Then they have, there's one other gentleman, and we'll take a look here at the results. Valverde, Yates, Pogacar, David Gaudu, Alejandro Valverde, I think is who was up there, up the road with Pogacar. He ends up dispatching to him. Oh, it was Hugh Carthy. That's right. He ended up getting distance quite a bit. And on the last climb, Gaudu ended up doing a little bit of an attack. Roglic goes with him. And then gives him a fist bump with like what, 2.5 K to go. Basically like, hey, I'm not going to sprint. I'm not going to pull the thing over you like I did the Bahrain Victorious rider a few weeks ago at Paris-Nice. You take the win. They both post up over the line with Gaudu getting the win. And you got Roglic here. So it's Gaudu, Roglic, Valverde comes in next best with Yates, Pogacar, 35 seconds down. And Vingegaard, Jonas, Bilbao, Chavez, and way down here, Brandon McNulty loses 7:57, knocks him right off the podium. Roglic, Vingegaard, they go 1-2 with Pogacar in third, Adam Yates from fourth, David Gaudu, once again, continuing his climbing prowess, doing really well. Remember, he won a stage, I want to say, did he get it at the Tour de France? He definitely won Grand Tour. Maybe it was 2 stages at the Vuelta last year. Let's see if we have it here. Best winning in 2020. I'm not sure if I can actually see his results. Either way, it was pretty impressive. I think Gaudu is really coming around as someone who is going to be showing his worth. 2 wins at the Tour of Spain last year, Vuelta a España. So he's, I mean, I haven't seen much of his teammate, Thibaut Pinot. So maybe Gaudu is the new guy on the block. So you get the overall win by Roglic. He seemed really happy. He was already out doing recon for the Tour de France. Pogacar, it's living and learning. And he had some nice things to say about Brandon. It didn't seem like he was too upset. I don't think he ever would have overcome Roglic on the day. He had too much time to make up. Roglic looked superb. But what you ended up seeing there was a difference from about 60K in to go, how much work Pogacar had to do compared to Roglic. Roglic did some work near the end. He did work on, not really on the last climb even. He was able to save himself when he second to last climb. He really put the hurt into him, but the work was all being done in the back by Pogacar. Roglic didn't have to do that. He had Movistar, he had Astana, he had Gaudu, he had Hugh Carthy. Everyone kind of had their own little things. I understand Carthy's, I understand Gaudu's. I'm not necessarily understanding Valverde or Movistar and or Astana on the day, but it's what it is. Roglic getting a win, kind of redeeming himself out of Paris-Nice. Is that the one he just lost? Yes, I believe that was. Okay. Pretty exciting. Now, I just thought it was similar to Formigal. When you see these short stages that really have the ability to go more long range, when you go, oh, I could, with all these climbs, I could probably go, from 40K 40K out, all these climbs, because there's so many of them in here, and you're going to dispatch your team, and everyone's all over the board. You saw McNulty riding by himself a lot. You saw, Pogacar basically riding. You saw it was like a pursuit out there. So these short stages, once again, is why some of the women's racing is phenomenal, because you get the short stages, you get a little bit more exciting, and you don't have this just waiting long days of slogging around. So Tour of the Basque Country, exciting stuff. All right, what else do we have? Well, Tour of Turkey is starting now. You might have guessed it, in Turkey. And stage one started off, we saw that Team Rally ends up getting the win with the bike throw over this Uno, what's this guy, the other team, Uno X team rider of Christopher Halverson. But Halverson's teammate in the background is posting up. So tough on you, buddy. It shouldn't have been done. Arvid de Kling of Rally won the shortened 72.4 kilometer. It looks cold there, by the way. Opening stage of the Tour of Turkey, beating Halverson to emerge. And it looks like, scroll all the way down here to the end of Pierre Barbier of Team Delco gets third, with Mark Cavendish in fourth. I think those two off the front tacked a little bit right before the finish, as far as not the 300 meter mark for the sprint, but more like the 800 or 600. And they ended up being able to just hold it off to the line. So good for them. However, you're like, oh, Cavendish is in there. There's Philipsen, who just won Scheldeprijs. You've got Andre Greipel, the gorilla, in there as well. Not a heavy team or field for sprinters, but Cavendish, just getting third in Scheldeprijs. Now, I had ripped on him as far as what his positioning, what he was doing, because he had Sam Bennett with him. Sam Bennett has been winning. We haven't seen a win from Mark Cavendish for 3 years. Hey, buddy, do some lead out. Don't just sit on the back and act and be excited about third place. Actually get your team the win. That's really what you're there for. I also had said when we had talked to Rob Dalto earlier in the year that I expected Chris Froome to get a win before I did Mark Cavendish. Cue today's stage. I am wrong. We had Mark Cavendish ended up getting a win. Tour of Turkey. The Manxman takes overall lead as well. And first win in 3 years. So he was pretty excited about that. We'll take a look. I actually thought his sprint was exceptional for as far as he does it. Mark Cavendish with the win over Jaspers Philipsen of Alpecin Phoenix. Andre Greipel. Arvid de Kling of the Rally team was in fourth. Nice to see him back up there. And maybe we'll be able to do a short little finish, some overhead of the finish here. Hope we don't get copyright strikes, but this is what it is. Okay, so you're seeing coming down the finish here, the Alpecin Phoenix team in the lead. And I'm not sure exactly. Then you have the Israel Cycling Academy with Greipel, second and third and fourth there. And then Cavendish, no lead out, sitting on the wheel of Greipel. Yeah, Philipsen goes really early. I can't see the distance from the line there, but you can see Greipel. He's making his move to get up there. Cavendish, man, he's not sprinting hard yet. You can tell he's just sitting there, and all of a sudden he decides to attack. Now we're right at the 100. Philipsen has this thing in the bag. Cavendish comes up right behind him, decides to go a little left, pushing Greipel a little half. Man, that wasn't necessary. Boom, gets the win over Philipsen by about a half a bike, maybe a half a wheel or so. So maybe from the front, we'll be able to see this another angle. Once again, Philipsen I think he goes way too early. Although you see 150 there in the back, this is just the finish here in the last 100 meters. And Cavendish over Greipel quite easily, actually. So, his derailleur and chain are jerking around there. I don't know if you were able to see that. Didn't look like it was maybe coming off. So anyway, happy times there for Mark Cavendish getting the win. Congrats to him. Do we give him the ride of the week? I don't know. I think you give the ride of the week to Roglic for his dude killed it there at Tour of the Basque Country. And that's pretty impressive. I'm excited that he just wins and wins. And then I think he's something about him when he loses, and he loses in dramatic fashion. Stage 20 of the Tour de France. I mean, having this thing all throughout, crushing defeat, helmet askew, and then the 20-year-old or 21, whatever Tade was at the time, 22, I don't know, destroys him and makes everyone look silly and kind of puts your whole month in question, your existence for that. Sits out, comes back, does decent at the World Championships, ends up winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège with a weird bike throw over a pre-post up, Alaphilippe. By the way, that's what I called Mike at the race. I said, you didn't pull an Alaphilippe, did you? And then you have him going out and winning the Vuelta. excellent work by Roglic. I love to see his tenacity. Now, we're seeing two things: two Slovenians on the calendar on the World Championship stage. Tadej Pogačar, obviously, and Primož Roglic. Two amazing Slovenian riders from a small country that actually has a decent amount of riders. Then you're seeing two of the best Americans to come out for quite some time. Young guys, Grand Tour stage hopefuls. Sepp Kuss, Brandon McNulty. Okay, I think it's awesome to see the two Americans, and let's be honest, there should be working in service of these two of the two Slovenians. This is kind of the way it is right now, but there seems to be a close connection. Brandon's kind of the one when those two are racing together. He and Tadej that are kind of being able to hang. That's the guy that he's kind of looking for there. Even though Tadej was reaching out to support him. Look, by the way, Tadej does the right thing here by trying to support Brandon as much as possible. Gives him kudos on social media and is super cool to him. What that does to Brandon is it makes him want to work just as hard or harder than he normally would possibly for Tadej in the future. And you give the support to the guy you need to when it's time, you're going to get it paid back. It's similar to Roglic, right? Given the gift, in a sense, to Gaudu. You never know when you're going to need some help from the FDG team. But the point is, it's dividends that pay itself out later. You've had Roglic with that with Sepp Kuss a few years ago in the Vuelta, allowing him to go get the stage win. And, doing so again at Criterium du National last year. Okay. That's what we have. I'm pretty excited about those two Americans working for the two Slovenians. Maybe sometime in the future, you'll see these two Americans getting some support from other people as well. And maybe some more Americans. We will always be looking for that. Either way, it's been an exciting weekend. We've got Ardennes Classics going to start coming up here. So pending any problems with ventures into France, these aren't in French countries, we should have some good racing. And once again, those are the types of races that you see with a little bit of the classics, a little bit with the GC riders, the punchy types. Mark Hershey, remember, he was the winner last year on one of the Ardennes Classics there. Are we going to see him be able to rebound? We haven't really seen him much. Saw him finally in the break this weekend, and he had to get pulled back to do a lot of work for Brandon McNulty and Tadej Pogačar. Didn't quite work out in the end, but hopefully we'll see a resurgence in him as well. So we're looking forward to some of those races. We're looking forward to having the NorCal calendar. That always interesting fight online with masters and guys promoting and whiny bike racers. Are you part of that problem? I hope not. Thank you, everybody. This is the Between Two Wheels podcast, episode 232. Have a great week. We'll try to see you again on Friday.